it's Mrs. Crossweight. This is your spring 2021 paper-based testing test admin training for FSA. If you are only proctoring, or let me start that again. If you are not a certified teacher, you do not need to be taking this training. You need to be taking the FSA proctor training. Again, so this training is only for certified teachers that are going to be administering the test. I know that a lot of you are certified teachers in K2 that don't normally test, but I'm having you go through the training just in case because it's a crazy year and we want to be able to have as many people trained as possible. So let's get started. I also want to remind you that you should have the Nearpod link open as well. The slides that we're going to be going over are in the Nearpod, so if you just have me open and listening to me, you can actually follow along on the Nearpod with the slides. And we're going to have a couple of activities to do through there, so you need to have that Nearpod open as you're listening to the training. Let's get started. Okay, so number one, your test admin manual will be in your boxes as soon as possible. These are not secure materials, but you just need to make sure that you keep them somewhere safe because I need them back after testing. Again, they'll have your name on it and I'll put them in your box. This paper-based testing manual includes grades 4 through 6 writing, 4 through 6 reading, math 3 through 6, and science as well. So this book will be used for all of the things, all of the testing. All right, test admin administration. If you've been testing for the last couple years, this will be pretty much review for you. So I'm going to go through it pretty quickly. And again, if you have any questions, you can come and see me and we can go more into detail. So for writing, it's 120-minute sessions only for grades 4 and 5, and there are 2 sessions with that. For ELA reading, for writing, there's only 1 session. For reading, there are 2 sessions, 80 minutes each, and that's grades 3, 4, and 5. Math, 2 sessions, 80 minutes each, grades 3, 4, and 5. Science is only 5th grade, 2 sessions, 80 minutes each. What's new this year? There's a new accommodation available for those who need to type their writing response for the writing portion of the test. And those kids will actually be doing their writing test online on a computer. I think we only have 1 this year, so I'll get with that teacher and make sure that they're comfortable with everything. But that student will have a computer-based writing test instead of a paper-based writing because they used to just type into a regular computer. The other thing that's different is that the script is a little different. At the beginning of the test, they're not going to have kids flip through every single page and check for missing or upside down pages. So that's been a thing since even I was in school and I took FCAT, but that is not going to be a thing at all. So if you ever come across a book that has missing or upside down pages, just have the kid continue or just pause for just a second and just shoot me a quick text. And we can get it taken care of. Some reminders, if you have a book where the pre-ID label is not applied, it doesn't have any kids' information or at all, do not start the test and call me before you do anything else so that I can make sure that every kid has the book that they're supposed to have. In the script, the students have to complete some write-in fields in the book. They have to know their name, their date of birth, their school name, their district name, the date, and the test group code. The test group code I give you, you'll know the date, you know the district name, the school name. They might need help with the date of birth, but usually they're pretty good about that. For the writing test, students must use the 3-line pages in their test book. They can't use any extra paper, even to write notes. You can't give them anything else because anything that they do, it has to be a secure material. So do not give them any extra paper. All right, so it is time for activity 1 on your Nearpod. So if you just click that blue kind of half circle on the right-hand side, you'll get off the slides and go straight into the activity. And you can pause me right now and come back to me and press play whenever you are ready to go on. Okay, so hopefully you finished that activity. Hopefully you got 100% on it. And we're going to move on. So some general information about accommodations. If you are testing kids with accommodations, I know there are a lot of you that have ESE students, ELL students, and 504 students that are staying in your classroom because they test better with their classroom teacher, but you need to make sure that you're comfortable in knowing what their accommodations are and what you can do. So if that needs to be a one-on-one conversation with me, you're more than welcome to do that. You could also go to the statewide assessments accommodation guide, which is on the FSA assessments website. And I can show you that as well. Students who are identified as English language learners or they've recently exited the ELL program, they have to be provided with the allowable accommodations. They're able to have one word translated, not a sentence, not directions or anything like that. They can point to a word and ask what the word is in Spanish instead of English or Haitian Creole if that's what their language is. They also get a dictionary and they get an extra time till the end of the day to finish their tests. Test security and procedures. Inappropriate actions by school or district personnel can result in a student or classroom invalidation, loss of teaching certification, and or involvement of law enforcement. So it is really important that you follow these test security policies and procedures. Above anything else, we don't want any test scores to be invalidated. It looks really bad, and you can get into some trouble as well. So when in doubt, ask a question. If you're a new teacher, I tried to make sure that you had a veteran teacher in there with you so that these mistakes don't happen. Make sure that you don't do any of the following. Read or view the passages or test items before, during, or after the test. Reveal the passages or test items. Copy them. Explain them to students. Explain any questions to students at all. Change or otherwise interfere with a student's response. Copying or reading student responses, or causing achievement of schools to be inaccurately measured or reported. A lot of the times when a student had a question like, oh, I don't understand this, I would just say, I'm sorry, I can't help you. I tried not to give off too much. I kind of just walked around, tried not to look at anything, just take in what you can and try to just be careful because it's a pretty serious offense. School personnel and proctors must read and familiarize themselves with the rule in the TA manual. So this whole training goes over the basics of the manual, but it is still up to you to look through that manual and familiarize yourself with it before testing. So that's why I'm giving them to you so early so that you have time to kind of flip through and read it. The security of all test materials must be maintained before, during, and after the test. So if I don't have the test, it is up to you to keep them secure. They can never be left unsecured and must not remain in the classrooms or be taken off school campus overnight. They cannot leave your site. So if you pick them up from me, you do not leave them from your side until you return them back to me. Test administrators must not administer tests to their family members. Students related to their assigned test administrator should be reassigned, and parents and guardians should not be present in the student's testing room. So I tried to be very careful with this. So if you notice that I've assigned you to a grade level that you have a student in, please let me know as soon as possible, and I can get you moved. But again, I tried to be very careful, so just let me know if I made a mistake. Proctors. Proctors are going to have a separate training, and I'll go over this with them. But their duties can include preparing and distributing materials, and they can help monitor, but they cannot assist in the rooms where their family members are testing. And each proctor who enters the testing room, even if it's for 30 seconds, they have to sign the test administration and security log when they come in. All right, time to pause me again. This is in the way. So go ahead and click pause and do the next activity. All right, here we go. Hopefully you've finished that activity and we'll move on. Test materials. The following test materials will be provided for students. For the ELA writing, they'll have a test and answer book and a writing planning sheet that's separate. They're yellow. For the reading test, they just have the reading test and answer book. For science, they have the test book and the answer book because it's like a Scantron kind of thing. So they're or like bubble in, but not with the question. So it's kind of tricky for them. Grades 3 through 5 in math, they have test and answer books. And in 4th and 5th grade, you also have reference sheets. And I have a poll a little later that's going to ask you, do you want printed reference sheets for your 4th and 5th graders so that they don't have to keep flipping to the reference sheet? Or do you not mind and you're okay with them doing that, like flipping to the beginning? So there's a poll coming up. I don't remember which activity it's in, but just let me know what you think and I will go from there. ELA writing planning sheets, they can use it to take notes, they can plan their response. It's 1 page, it's letter sized, the front is lined, the back is blank. The planning sheets are distributed to students at the beginning of the test session, and they are secure materials, so please make sure they have the student's name on them and that you return them back to me when you return their answer book. Reference sheets are for grades 4 and 5 only for math. They may not tear the reference sheet out of the answer book, so that's why I was asking if you wanted a copy. So we'll go over that. A hard copy is allowed. We just have to make sure to give them a new copy every day and make it a secure document or material or whatever. Test group code. I will be giving you a test group code. It'll be in the front of your boxes. I'm so excited because I ordered plastic smaller boxes because I hated carrying those big cardboard boxes around. So there are smaller boxes, and in the front you'll notice an index card that'll say your name and your test group code, which is different from how we've done mock, because on the mock testing you get your own group code from online. So I will be giving you your test group code. This will be put on the security log and everything else. You're going to use the same code for both sessions, and you're also going to have a different code for writing, for reading, for math, for science. So you probably won't have the same code every single time. All right, go ahead and pause me for activity 3. I think this is the poll. All right. Moving on. Test admin responsibilities before testing. So please use the paper-based testing checklist. It's located in Appendix D in your manual, and that will help you to make sure that you're doing everything that you need to do before, during, and after testing. So prior to testing, you have to do 3 different things. Number 1, you have to read, sign, and return I'm trying to read it, the manual or familiar. The test administrator prohibited activities agreement and also the security agreement. There we go. Sorry for that. So there's 2 things you have to sign: security agreement and the prohibited activities agreement. I'm going to have both of those in your boxes so that you can have them signed and returned. I'm going to have a folder right outside of my office in that little black mailbox thing, and you can just pop them right in there whenever you are done. And then thirdly, you have to finish this training with all the Nearpod activities, and then I can run a report showing who's completed them. So you won't have to sign in or do anything like that. All right. Paper-based practice activities. This is another thing that is required before you can test. So I said before there were only 3. There's actually 4. I lied. So 4 things you have to do before testing. Number 1, well, the first 2 is really just sign those forms. Complete this training, and then also you need to do practice activities with your kids. You only need it for reading and for math. And I'm going to show you exactly where to go. So if you go to fsassessments.org, not FSA assessments, I make that mistake all the time, fsassessments.org, you don't have to sign in. You click Student and Families, and then you go to, there's a couple of different things. You can go to I think it's practice tests. I guess I should have done this. Oh, right here. There are paper-based practice test materials. There are also student PowerPoints. So if we go here, there are student presentations, which are just videos that you can show. So I'm going to go back to the beginning. Students and families, practice tests, paper-based, because we're not doing computer-based, paper-based practice test materials. And here you have student presentations. And if we go back one, you also have student PowerPoint. So you could either do the PowerPoint yourself and go through it, or you could play the videos. But you need to do this for reading and for math at any time that you choose. And then you just have to sign outside of my office on a clipboard. I'll have a sign-in sheet that'll just tell me that you went over the practice materials for reading and for math and the date that you did it. So I don't need to have anything else other than just sign that you did it. And if you don't know where to go, just let me know. I can walk you through that again. Sign in by my door. Okay. Time for activity 4. Go ahead and pause. All right, here we go. We're more than halfway done, I think. All right. Test admin responsibility before testing continued. Let's prepare the room for testing. Make sure that the room is comfortable, has comfortable seating, good lighting, appropriate temperature, not too cold, not too hot. Make sure that the room is properly ventilated. I don't know what you could do about that, but let me know if you don't think it's a good room for kids to test in. Remove or cover all visual aids in the room, like word lists, charts, any anchor charts that are helpful. I did see, and they did let us know from the district, that anything that's in the script verbatim can be up on your walls. So, for example, if it says, when you're finished, go back and check your work, like the exact words in the script, those words can be up on the wall for kids to see. So as long as it's verbatim from the script, you can have it up on your walls. The night before testing, I'll probably walk around like Miss Detling did and just make sure your room is good to go for testing, and leave you a little note if anything needs to change. Arrange the room so that students have enough space and workspace. I know that 3 feet is might not be doable, but if you need any what are those things called? Test corrals, like barrier things. I can give those to you if needed, if they're like at a table or whatnot. They can't be easily able to view other kids' work. All right, outside of each door to the before testing. Outside each door to the testing room, post a sign that reads like test in progress, which I'll give you. Do not disturb. Your device's sign should be up, and I'll give you that all the day of inside your box. And these signs are also in Appendix D, but again, I'm going to make these for you. Somewhere on a whiteboard or on your easel, you need to make sure to have the district name, the school name, the test group code, and a place where you can have the start and end time. And please double and triple check your start and end time. There have been tests that have been invalidated because they were off by 10 minutes, and that would just really stink. So please double and triple check your time. You are required to maintain the following information. You need to have the students assigned to your room. You need to mark if they are here or if they're absent, the grade level, the test group code, and any accommodations that you are giving them. So I'll have a form if you have students with accommodations, and you'll just check mark all the accommodations they've used, and you'll leave the accommodations blank if they did not use them. You will also have to create a seating chart. And again, all this paperwork is going to be in your box, so you'll know exactly the papers that you'll have to fill out because I'm going to be giving them to you. On the seating chart, you'll have to have the date, your name, your room number, grade level and subject, students' names and where they are in the classroom, just like a quick sketch, and the direction that each kid is facing. So I usually just do like a little arrow. The start and stop times for the session, and the names of the proctors that you have in your room, and the test group code. Creating the seating charts, you have to also indicate on the drawing what's in the front of the room, what's in the back of the room. If students are using extra time and they're moved to a new location, we're going to have to do a new seating chart. So the goal is for those kids to stay in your classroom until they are done testing. Remember to maintain a seating chart for each test session, so you'll have to do a new one every time. I'll give you a new one every time. And seating charts must be returned to me with all of your testing materials. Please make sure you have sharpened pencils, which I'll try to have in the boxes, a watch or a clock somewhere in your room that the kids can see the time. Then you'll have the security log and the different signs. Security log. You're required to maintain the security log. I'm going to give it to you. Anyone who enters the room for any length of time must sign the log in and out. So that includes test administrators, proctors, people coming in and out for ELL accommodations. If I walk in or Miss Tatum walks in, opening the door and peeking your head in is a little different. If they completely walk into the room, they need to sign that form. Receiving materials. So I'm going to be giving you everything that you need the morning of. You'll need to walk down to the testing room where I'll have everything ready, hopefully, and you'll sign out all of the materials. I'm going to try to be there before school starts, or you can wait until your kids start coming, until you're supposed to be on campus. That's fine too. Your kids could either eat breakfast right outside, kind of tag team, make sure that somebody's watching your kids. I'll also have different paras and people out there walking around making sure you come to get your materials. So I think if we all work together, we'll get it done. So in the morning, if you do not have a classroom yourself, please go check on your 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade teacher friends, and make sure that they're able to come and get their test materials. All right, time for activity 5. Go ahead and pause. My throat is hurting. Not because I'm sick, because I'm talking a lot. All right, let's get started. Again, test admin responsibility during testing. So if a student starts a test session and leaves campus without finishing, they're not going to be able to finish that session. So once a kid starts a session, we really need them to finish the session. If you have concerns that the kid won't be able to finish the test, don't allow them to start. Send them to the clinic, and we can make up the test a different day. I would hate for them to start the test and then not be able to finish it. And if you have any concerns about the testing room, please let me know before you start testing, please. Read the script. So make sure that you are reading the scripts verbatim to the students. The only things that you can change are like if a student has extra time, you're able to go to that student, except for the students with extra time. You can kind of change it for them, which a lot of you have ELL students, so you can make sure that they know that they have that extra time. That optional words and phrases appear in italics and in parentheses. And our stretch breaks, you may repeat portions of the script. So like after a stretch break or during a stretch break, you can put, as a reminder, you may not have any electronic or recording devices, because those words are verbatim from the script. So you could also say maybe, let's say somebody is writing their essay on their writing planning sheet and you're like dying on the inside because you can't really tell them anything. You, during the break, can say, just as a reminder, and then find that area in the script that says that the writing planning sheet will not be scored, and you can say that verbatim because it's in the script. Just make sure you say it word for word. Distribute materials. So after students are seated, ensure that each student has a pencil, the test documents, the planning sheets, the reference sheets. They're not going to have calculators or anything. And make sure that each child gets their own book that has their name, their sticker, pre-ID sticker on the book. If you notice that a student was given a pre-ID test document that wasn't assigned to them, and they've already started. So like you didn't catch it until after you started testing, just let them keep testing and let me know and I will come and we'll figure out what to do. But most likely the kid will just finish testing in that wrong book. Okay, so don't ever stop the test unless it's an emergency. Don't ever stop the test unless it's an emergency. And a wrong book is not an emergency. We could figure that out. Testing rules acknowledgement. After you read the testing rules in the script, they have to sign the testing rules acknowledgement on the inside cover. If a student in your room does not acknowledge the testing rules, just contact me. They still have to test even though they don't sign it. So it's not like they won't be testing that day. So just let me know. Keep accurate time when administering the test. Record the start and stop time. And make sure your proctor checks it too. So just be very careful with your times. Remember that failure to provide the correct amount of time will likely result in a tested validation, and we don't want that. ELLs, recently exited ELLs, or eligible students with IEPs or 504s can be provided additional time, so you'll see that on the sheet, how much exact time. So if it says double time and it's an 80-minute test, they get 2 80 minutes because it's double the time. If it's time and a half, because that's on there a lot, it's an 80-minute test, it would be 80 minutes plus 40 minutes because it's half of the time. And then we have end of day. So usually we have double time, time and a half, end of day. So just be careful of who has what and keep track of that. Maintain test security at all times. Please report any violations and let me know immediately if you see a test, in the hallway by itself. Maintain your security log and your seating chart. Supervise test administration. Please put your full attention on the students at all times. I know you have a lot to do and it's very boring and you want to do so many other things and get so many other things done, but please during testing, don't do anything. Have a list of things that you can think about because it does get pretty boring. But don't do anything else, just monitor the kids, walk around, things like that. If issues arise during testing and you need to use your computer or phone to contact me, you can do that, but it's just not appropriate to be on your computer or on your phone the entire time doing unrelated activities, like texting or on social media or grading stuff. While students are working, make sure that they have cleared their desk and they're not using anything else that they are not supposed to use. Make sure they don't have books or notes or scratch paper or electronic devices. And that make sure that they're also using number 2 pencils because pens or other pencils won't work. So they have to be number 2. While students are working, also make sure that they don't talk to each other and that they've signed the testing rules acknowledgement and that they're working independently. Students are permitted to use the blank space in their test and answer book as a workspace. They can also underline or circle words or things in the passages. For writing, they can use their planning sheet as a workspace to take notes, but that won't be scored. You may not talk to the students about the test items or passages or help them at all. You cannot help them. You may not provide students with any information or cues that would allow them to infer the correct answer, such as suggesting that they might want to review the response, like, oh, look at number 3 again, because that's not allowed. You may not read or comment on student responses or help students plan what to write and how to answer test items. Discussing test content. While you may prepare students for testing using strategies like underlining or chunking the text, things like that, you cannot offer incentives or rewards if they did them. This is coming from the Department of Ed. We're not allowed to incentivize or bribe them for doing different strategies that we know is expected. Once testing begins, students must work on their own with the understanding that they are being monitored for independent work only. All right, so extra DEA information, picking up materials, we kind of went over already, kind of help each other out. And again, if you don't have a classroom, please check on those 3rd and 4th and 5th grade teachers to see if they need help. When students without accommodations are finished testing, we're going to have the proctors take the students to the PE area. For instance, if Ms. Rosado is done testing her kids and her her proctor, let's see who her proctor is. Miss Rosado, Miss Bolin is her proctor. So Miss Rosado, Miss Bolin are finished testing, and Miss Rosado has like 3 more kids that have extra time accommodation. They can continue. They can take a quick break. All the rest of the kids can get up and leave with Miss Bolin, and Miss Rosado will continue testing her kids. Now, Ms. Bolin is able to leave the classroom because she's not a Spanish-speaking proctor, so she doesn't have to stay there. So if you're a Spanish-speaking proctor who's in the classroom, like Ms. Borland or Ms. Trejo or Ms. Burgos, you can't leave the classroom until all your ELL students are also gone and done. Okay, so please don't leave them there without someone that can't give them their Spanish accommodation. So if Rosado and Bolin are done, Bolin gets up, she leaves with all the other kids, leaves Miss Rosado testing with her 3 kids. Miss Bolin will go up to the PE area and stay with that class until Miss Rosado is all the way done. So 3rd grade, you're going to be out in the field. Please try to keep the classes separated. 4th grade, you'll be under the pavilion. 5th grade, you're going to be on that old basketball court that's up there at PE. Please try to keep the classes separated, and proctors stay with your class until the teacher comes to pick up the whole class. So there's going to be lots of adults out there. I completely understand, but that's how we're going to do it to try to keep the classes separated. If, for instance, Miss Gwynn and Miss Burgos, because Miss Burgos is the ELL accommodation for that classroom, if they have a lot of kids that are done, but there's an ELL student that's not done, Miss Burgos or Miss Gwynn will text me and we'll have someone come and grab your kids and take them to PE. And then you can both stay there to finish testing those kids. If this is confusing at all for you, please come and see me before the day of so that you know what you're doing. And I will email this information out again, and it's also on the testing locations document of where you go. It's on the side there of where 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade will go. Break time for all classrooms are going to be 5 minutes. It's a rule, I guess, that the entire school has to have the same amount of breaks. So one class can't have 2 while the other class has 5. Everyone needs to have 5-minute breaks. Once your class is done, but you still have some kids that want to finish and have that extra time because they have that accommodation, please stop and take another 5-minute break, get all those kids out of the room, and then start testing again. And students cannot read after they're done testing. This is option C in the script, but for Polk County schools, all over Polk County, we've agreed that we're not going to give option C to any elementary students. So please do not allow them to read when they're done testing. All right, almost done. This is something very big that they kept saying over and over, and they kept saying, we cannot stress this enough. Inappropriate actions by school or district personnel can result in student or classroom invalidations, loss of teaching certification, and involvement of law enforcement. All adult errors that result in a student not receiving a score will be referred to the Polk County Human Resources, and test administrators should report any test irregularities to the school assessment coordinator immediately, which is me. All right, so thank you for ensuring a secure and successful spring 2021 test area session, whatever it is. And last but not least, there is a 10-question little quiz to finish out our activity. I hope you found this beneficial and quick. Again, please let me know before testing if you have any questions or concerns, or if you want to go over anything. I am here for you. Thank you, guys.